Sometimes topics are off limits and people have a habit of focusing on self-preservation, and I wouldn't necessarily say that's a bad thing. I think it's important to sort of balance when something's worth talking about, when it's best to keep our mouth shut. But for me personally, I think it's really important that we embrace freedom, and freedom means that we all can have an opinion. It's not about society here's one narrative and everybody else has to be quiet. And yeah, like I'm seeing it an awful lot, and it's one thing I absolutely don't shy away from. I will always speak my voice, and I don't really care about people's reactions. To be honest, I've never cared about being cancelled. It's like cancel me, I don't care. That's not going to silence me in any way. um, and that's just what people do. If they don't like what's being said, a lot of the time at the moment, they get reactive and spiteful. It's like that's something to work on, isn't it? Because if someone's not being aggressive, why be aggressive? So why the way I see it is, there's a lot of people who are incredibly sensitive. So you get some people that are just really, really sensitive, and then you get some people who perhaps there's arrogance. So is there a middle ground? And for instance, the situation with transgenders and all that entails, it gets complicated and it gets very reactive. So the majority of people won't even go near the conversations purposely because the fallback isn't worth it. A lot of time, that's what it comes down to, like balancing um, whether something's worth the risk. Because the downfall, if it goes wrong, is incredible. So it comes with so many pitfalls. So it's like a taboo topic where only a select few who are marginalised are free to speak, and everybody else has to tiptoe around. And as soon as they say something that one side doesn't like, all of a sudden they get targeted and cancelled. We saw it with J.K. Rowling. Now, look, people could take me one way or another. I know why I do things, and I know my thoughts on things. I'm very open book, and I'm very accepting of people. I just don't like people forcing things upon others. That's what I don't like. So I share an opinion, and it's my opinion. So I can't speak for everyone because I can't say, and I think that's sometimes what people do. They speak for everybody else, and it's like, no, no, no. Everybody's an individual at this point. Everybody has their own unique perspective. The real problem is communicating. It becomes hard because it's so easy to take things out of context or manipulate someone's meaning in this circumstance, because it all becomes down to narratives. What narrative are people trying to spread, and then they fit it around that, and it's quite crazy. Um, so like when I heard about J.K. Rowling with her stance on transgenders and things like that, I agreed with her. So like people can take it whatever way you want. Now you can all of a sudden, if you pigeonhole her, you can pigeonhole me. That's fine. But I never saw her being rude to anybody. I just saw her pointing out the fact that a woman, literally has um, a female biology. And that's sensible. That makes sense, does it not? Like, you can't go around just labeling yourself what you want and expect everybody else to conform. That's not how the world works. This is what I say about the communication side is so important. It's so hard to balance it. The way I see it is, like, people can want to be what they want to be, and that's fine. Like, if you want to dress a certain way, even if you want to have procedures on yourself, that's okay. That's for you. You don't have to. You don't have to have people accept it though. Like, again, this goes on a completely different side to all this. But even without any of those things, it's really important that people live their own life. You don't need to seek validation from anybody else. You don't need to approval. So, like in my life, although I don't have those issues, I don't seek validation. I don't seek approval. Now, you could argue my life's easier because I don't have that issue, but everybody's life's challenging. The weight of expectation in society in general is high. People put pressure everywhere. So you have to ask yourself, why allow that pressure in the first place? Like, like, for instance, let's say me, why can't I just exist as I am on my terms, living the life to how I want to live it? Yeah, I have that freedom. So everybody has that freedom. So if you want to pursue a life that maybe your body isn't conditioned to do naturally, that's fine. You can go be whoever you feel you are. Yeah, I'm going to say the wrong words here because, in all honesty, I don't give a shit about tiptoeing. So I could argue that I'm trying to be delicate. In all honesty, I couldn't care less if I'm delicate, to be honest. I want to be respectful, though. But in terms of, like, trying to be anything other than me. I'm not prepared to be anything other than me. So I am very direct, and I will piss a lot of people off. And that's life. Get used to it. It's like that's one of the lessons. That's one of the lessons. We're going to say things. We're going to hear things. It's like life. So yeah. So look, I'm going to give my perception on what I think life is, and how I interpret things. Now, again, it's not going to mean I'm right. It's just how I see things. So, you cannot. It's going to be hard for someone to convince me otherwise. But I am open to listening to people that and it can help. But we all have an opinion, though. So I believe that the universe always has a plan for us. So if I arrive in this lifetime as a male, then I believe I'm a male, and that's how I'm supposed to live my life. Now, that doesn't mean I'm saying you can't pursue a different path if you desire, because I'm going to say something now. It's going to irritate people, but it's my perception. Now, I could be wrong. It's my perception, and I've irritated somebody who I had a lot of respect for, who is gay. It's all words. I don't know what word I'm supposed to use, and that's where it all becomes an issue as well. But I had no problem with their sexuality. I just had to make it clear that I'm not gay. So let's don't misconstrue anything. That's where it gets a bit touchy for people who are not, because you don't want people to get the wrong impression. It's like you don't want to lead people down a path that's not existent. But I said some things, and I think, and it irritated them, and they felt like they made it clear to me that you don't understand, so it's hard, so you shouldn't be talking about it. And I was like, well, okay, you don't perceive that I understand based on how you feel, and I get it because you're the one living that. But I still have sort of like a perception of things, and I can still say what I think. That's the problem. You get silenced and shut down too much. Anybody that is not part of a group that is minority, I guess, then all of a sudden your opinion's not valid. And that's fine. But then why should we listen if people can't listen back? So anyway, I happen to think that, like, now this is where my spiritual side's going to come in. So, okay, I'm going to irritate so many groups, people who are not, blah, blah, blah. So I think for the majority of us, this isn't our only lifetime. I think we'll have love lifetimes in the future, and we'll have the lifetimes in the past. I personally think those who have tendencies to the other gender, I think in another lifetime, they were the opposite sex. So let's say, for instance, a male is attracted to men. A man is attracted to men. Then maybe in another life they were female, and they're having a hard time dealing with that process of change. Because they spent a huge part of their life, of course, as a different gender, and their soul remembers that. Now, I might be wrong on that, but I personally think there's something to this, and I think it's worth delving into in other sides of things. And that could very well cross over to the transgender side as well. The one thing I don't understand, and again, this isn't me trying to be a bigot in any way, or whatever word you want to call it. It's like I'm just trying to process it, just like everybody else is. I'm trying to understand it, but too many people, they don't like talking about it, though. They like to just be defensive. I'm not being defensive. I'm just trying to process this. Like, well, the one part I can't get my head around is, like, let's say I am a feminine male. Let's say I'm a male, but I have feminine tendencies. Why is that not just okay to be like that? Why do I need people to accept me as a female? Like, because if you felt more feminine, why do we have to be identified like that, though? Why can't we just be a feminine male? You see it a lot in men anyway. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe you take it further, and people like to cross dress. Okay, that's what you like to do in your own time. You prefer to feel like a woman. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But I just think it escalates and escalates and escalates. And I think the idea that we then have to identify someone as a woman because they feel that way and they have a tendency to be, to prefer, or they feel that in themselves. But it's like your biology doesn't match that. So so as much as you maybe would love to have had a life being someone you're not. So I think there's reached a point where you've got to make peace with who you are. Now, again, this is not me I'm not trying to be a pain with this. I'm just processing thoughts. I don't have that tendency, so I can't speak upon it. Like, maybe if you feel every ounce of your being that you are in the wrong body, then I get it. But again, I think on a soul level, that's your soul remembering a previous life. If there's a past life regression, I wouldn't be surprised if the majority of those in those situations, there's a connection there. That's what I think. So I think if we were given a vessel in this lifetime. And I think this is another way to play it as well, is that most people are not particularly happy with their bodies. The majority of people, I think, would have issues somewhere with their body. They'd like to change. So I don't think it just extends to your gender. Like, it's like, or any part of us, you know. Me personally, I'm not someone that wants to change anything about myself. I don't, because I'd rather just accept me for me. We all have flaws, and I just accept mine. It's like I've got no interest. Even if I was wealthy, I wouldn't have plastic surgery. I wouldn't have Botox or anything. I'd rather just age gracefully, and however the hell I look, I look. And that's just accepting me for me. If I was gay in any way, like let's say I was gay, it would. I'm just me, though. You know, if I wanted to wear women's clothes, I wear women's clothes. I I don't see the point of just changing your identity. That's what I'm getting at. Like even if I felt like a female and I had to change, I'd still think of me as me though. Sometimes it reaches a point where does it really matter what people label you? That gets through. That's where it gets to. Like eventually, maybe we'll all be gender neutral in the future, and there'll be a different way of conceiving, like being born and stuff. Who knows how evolution plays out? So it might be silly examples now, and then in the future, it really is irrelevant. But at the moment, everyone's just trying to coexist, and that's where the big problem becomes. Because of course, it's not easy. You go into a changing room or a bathroom, a toilet, whatever you want to call it, lavatory. It's like men, women. That's where the problem is. Maybe there needs to be another one, but I mean, it depends on how can people put so many facilities in one room. Now, although I have these opinions, it doesn't. I'm not like closed off to things. You know, like I understand if someone has let's say they've changed their gender. I don't know how the surgeries work. Look, this is the thing I think people need to understand is that I know some people would want to educate us deeply about their life choices and all those things, but sometimes like the average person doesn't care enough. Like I don't know about the surgeries, and in all honesty, I don't care enough about it to know about the surgeries. You know, and that's something to just understand. It's like that's okay. That's okay. You know, it's like I just want people to accept themselves for who they are, but not force it upon other people. You know, it's up to us how we process everybody, whether that anyone's had a change or not. It's like literally we have the freedom to decide who we like and don't like, what we approve of, what we don't like. It's like that's just human nature. It is what it is. I think people are looking for acceptance too much from other people, and it's like, but why do we seek that? Um, so yeah, I mean, I had a lot of other things in my mind. Like for instance, there was this video come up, and this woman, or man, woman, I don't know how you want to play this. It's like someone someone made a point. Like I laughed out because I find these things humorous because it's so hard. It's so hard to just like talk like that. Um, someone was they're a man, but now they're a female. So I can't remember how they worded it. But anyway, they went on a date, and the person found out that that person was transgender, and the transgender person took it personal when the person left, and you know they tried to come across as a victim, but then when you're going through the comments, you realize how freaking arrogant they were, and it was like, yeah, they felt that the person should just accept them for who they are, and it's like that's fine, but when you're looking for a partner, a romantic partner, we all have criteria. You know, just because you feel you're entitled to something, that's not how the world works. So what they were making the point was, why should I have to reveal what do you call it? I don't know what you call it anymore. Like what do you call it? My gender? Why should I have to reveal my gender? And then they were comparing it to stupid things like your income. I don't compare it to that. I compare it to someone who has kids. That's something people should know going into a date. Don't go on 5 dates and then reveal, oh, you know what, I've got kids. That changes the whole dynamic. Don't expect someone to put up with all that. If they're not looking for that level of baggage, that life, they didn't build that. If they don't want that, there's no shame in it. It's like people want what they want. So just be honest early. What's so hard about that? Why hide it? If you're hiding it, what are you ashamed of? That's where it comes down to, isn't it? That one's being manipulative. So it's the same with someone who has children. Let it be known early. And a lot of single parents do. They say it straight away. They go, I don't want to waste my time and I don't want to waste your time. You know, I have children. If you're not okay with that, then you can leave. That's what a lot of single parents do because you know they don't have time either. So you can't be someone who's had a gender sex change and expect people to then be accepting of that because even if you like, This is the real problem. People always look at it from their own angle. So from their angle, they're thinking people should be more accepting of me. I'm now a man. It's like, no, you're not. You're not biologically a man, or you're not a female. Whatever one you've gone. Uh, I don't know the sex change. I don't know how the organs change. It can't be natural, can it? So as a male, I'm attracted to a female in the personality, the femininity, and the body. I'm not looking for someone that was a male. That makes me gay. Well, at least that's how I perceive it. And I think a lot of guys do too. Now, again, I'm very open minded though. I actually think if you go beyond it, I think I think this, see, I'm not, what would be the word? Homophobic or anything. I'm none of that. Because I just think personally, I think if souls merge, they merge. Whoever you're meant to be with, you'll be with. So if you were supposed to meet a set person and they're not the gender, then they're not the gender you expected. Then okay, that's life. But I think it's a lot harder to do that way. I think because I personally think if you're naturally attracted to a gender anyway early on in life, then there's a good chance your soulmate is of that gender. Let's be realistic. That's where you're going to meet them. I'm not racist. I've got no problem like in terms of like blending with another race. So I'm not like specifically it has to be a white person for me personally. It's like if there's a connection, there's a connection. Um. So yeah, so if going into it, it's like I'm expecting my soulmate because I'm attracted to women. I'm expecting my soulmate to be a biological woman. And I think to say anything other than that is just manipulating our bodies, isn't it? And it's up for someone to manipulate their body and then expect me to accept that as an alternative to a natural female. I think that's very naive and really quite mad, really, because the majority of guys are not going to want that, and that's fair because that's not natural. It's just not a natural change. The way I see it, look, I'm not trying to be horrible here, and I really understand how vulnerable people are that go through this situation. So, like when I'm direct and I say I don't care about this or happen, I don't care to a point, but I do understand there's a very vulnerable side to it, and it's learning to understand and balance it all. But the way I see it personally is, realistically, if you're gonna have a sex change, you have to consider the fact that you're attracted to. I'm trying to figure the way around this now because it's getting on my nerves. It's like if you was well, I'm getting confused where everyone's trying to be now. So I'm trying to think if a female wants to be a man, why are you? I was going to say because that's where my head was going a bit crazy there. I was trying to think. Well, you have to just go with the assumption you're gay, but then it's like you're not. That's not gay though, is it? You're just changing your gender. So there's like a. I'm processing it now. Effectively, the only way that works then, and that's how you have to understand that. Then people might not like that, but the only way realistically you're going to meet a guy as a transgender male that was a female because you've changed your sexual the way you're presented. I'm getting lost. I just think you're going to have to meet a gay person personally. It's the only way it works, isn't it? Or another transgender person. I know I've gone completely off track with this, but it's because there's so many nuances to this. It's like we can go sports, we can go sort of privacy in the bathrooms and things, but then you can go relationships. Overall, though, in society as a whole, I genuinely don't care in the sense that I'm not like offended. It's like if someone wants to dress how they want to dress how you want to dress. If you're not happy with your body and you've done something, that's fine. Like I said, I'm not interested in that, but that's just who I am. I don't want even tattoos or anything. I don't need to mark my body. I don't need to brand myself. I am who I am, and I don't care. But again, that's personalities and things. But the part I have the biggest issue with, though, is the fact that if anyone says anything against or not complimentary, I guess, of the situation and the dynamic in society and things, all of a sudden you're like typecast as this and that. And it's like, that's not the case at all. We're just all trying to figure it out. We're sort of learning together. But there's this idea that you're forcing a narrative. It irritates people. Because, like, for instance, I saw someone's comment. It was a woman. And she said women have been fighting for years for equality. And they're finally getting it. They're finally getting equality, at least getting close to it. and yet, and then you get a man dress. Now a man wants to be a woman, and it sets us back. And things like that, because now they're intruding on their privacy, and he's like, yeah, that I can understand that. So that's the thing, is there's victims in every side of this, and it's just people just need to understand each other more. But personally, I think there has to be. It's just a grey area, and I think if it's if transgenders are going to be recognised, then I think you just need your own. It needs to be a specific gender role for that, doesn't it? So instead of just having male and female on the in any box, then you need to have a transgender, or however you say it. Like, I'm not up with the terms. I don't. It's too many levels. There's too many letters in the whole thing. I get tongue tied. I'm not even going to try saying them all, but it's like I get lost with it all. And I'm not trying to be arrogant, and I'm not trying to be a bigot. But when I see people being cancelled, I get really pissed. You see me, I get worked up fast. I hate it. I hate people being silenced, because it does it because people are not hearing what they want to hear, and it's like sometimes it's like tough. You don't get to always hear what you want to hear. Again, what I just said at the beginning is that some people are too sensitive. If you're too sensitive, then be careful how you speak, then, isn't it? Because you can't expect to speak and no one can speak back. That's not how the world works. That's not how conversation works. But yeah, I'm accepting of people, but I expect people to be accepting of others too, you know, and understand where they're coming from, because that's what seems to be happening at the moment. It just seems to be, like I said, you could have women feel vulnerable in private spaces, and there's those who feel marginalised, who feel entitled to that space, and it's like, you're not entitled to that space at all. You don't have the right to do that just because you want to. I saw someone recently, some social media idiot, in all honesty, I'm not going to say their name, who wants to give them more freaking platform than they should. And as people might know what I'm talking about, but they made a video and it come up. I don't watch them; it just comes up on my For You page on TikTok. And they said, I don't care about what the courts have declared, because in the UK, for instance, that it was declared that transgenders are not, like, a transgender woman is not a woman. And it's been identified as their situation now. And that's got a lot of people worked up. So what they said was, I don't care what the court said. My mum said I can go in the women's toilets or lavatories, whatever you want to call it. And so I will. And some people in comments were going mental, and it's like, too right as well, because like, you don't just get to just do what you want. It's that entitlement that's getting too far, It's like, you can't just keep dictating and expect the world to cater to you. There's boundaries. It's like, again, if you want to go dating, then be honest and open. What's the point of going on a date just to be rejected? But then I think some people are martyrs. I'll say it. Some people are martyrs. They know going in they're going to get rejected because they haven't been honest, and they know as soon as they declare it, because they know how people think, and they want to be a victim, so they make themselves victims. I say that because if I was in their shoes, I wouldn't want to waste my time with the wrong people. Like, why would I want to date 50 people? Just let's get to the point quick, so I know whether I'm wasting my time with you or not. So why go through that whole process? Now, I understand some people to turn around and say, well, I shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to declare this. I shouldn't have to declare that. I am who I am. It's great. We've established that, because I've already said that would be a great way to start myself, didn't I? Accept yourself for who you are. At the same time, that means you shouldn't be ashamed of who you are. So then that means you shouldn't be so uncomfortable talking about yourself. And your identity is a big part of self, is it not? So, people try to act too smart for their own good. It's just ridiculous. I shouldn't have to say that. Well, there's a lot of things maybe you shouldn't have to say, but people need to hear it because they need to freaking know. So, don't be so freaking shocked when people get up and leave. And it's like, I don't think they are genuinely shocked. They were ready to make an example of a situation, because too many want to be martyrs. And that's how that is. There's so many ways that things could be handled in society. It really is. It's like, you could have come in far more delicate, just a transition of sort of surgeries and things, if that's what people are doing. But I think keep forcing things, a narrative is what is the issue, and a cancellation. So I was supporting J.K. Rowling well earlier than these situations, because I've still yet to see her say something really truly bad. I haven't seen her say anything bad. She's just talking facts, biology. You can't alter biology. Um, and I think it's about just accepting yourself for who you are. That's what genuinely that's what it comes down to. It's like there's too much focus on wanting to be this and wanting to be that. There was such a thing growing up as tomboys, like girls prefer like acting like boys and preferring to do what boys do. They like to get like that, get rough. They like to sort of like throw themselves into it. They're not dainty. They're not feminine per se. What's wrong with being a tomboy? No one's saying a woman has to act all feminine and then dress a certain way and be that way. You can be what you want. But why do we have to label things? So they're still a woman. They're still a gal. It's it doesn't change who they are. So if they want to go off and do other sports and do things, anything and everything, they still get to live a life where they're just it's just that they stay in certain categories because sports. If we're going to go sports, there's different strengths and weaknesses, and it should be a fair playing field. So that's why there's segregation, of course, in that sense. But yeah. But anyway, yeah, I'm just getting a bit sick and tired, really, of people getting cancelled. That's where I think, well, okay. I'm not expecting people to agree with what I say, and I've probably missed a few things because, again, I don't make notes. I just think off the cusp, and there was a few things I wanted to cover there. I don't do what I do to get people to agree with me because I genuinely have no interest in that at all. I don't need anyone to agree with me at all. What I want is for people to feel comfortable speaking. I want people to feel comfortable being themselves. And I want people to have to be able to share their opinions and understand that each opinion is valid. That's what I think. So someone may have a complete alternative opinion to me. But my hope is that by hearing me speak, they will feel confident to share their version of how they see things. That's what I want. I'm not asking people to follow me and I'm not asking people to just agree with me. I want people to have the confidence to be themselves. And that's what it comes down to. So yeah, so I will put myself front and saying, "Oh, I put my name, my face, and everything to it." And if people want to fit a narrative to something, fit it. Now, look, I can say with every ounce of my being my intentions, and I could say that I'm not this and I'm not that, and it may turn out that without me even realizing I am this and I am that. It may turn out that I have issues with this that I didn't even realize, and that's fine. Maybe people are seeing that. I don't know. I haven't obviously watched the video back, but I know instinctively that honestly, the words can get manipulated and they get taken out of context. But it genuinely, I don't care in the sense that I don't care what someone wants to be or who they are. It's like that's your business. That's the thing. So I don't care. It doesn't affect me one way or another. It's irrelevant, isn't it? Because how does it affect my day? It doesn't, but it affects my day when I start to see things that are changing in the sense that people can't speak up. Because that's when I get a bit reactive because it's like freedom to me is everything. So if you start taking away and suppressing voices, for me, that's dangerous. That's very dangerous. So I'll talk on a lot. I've been talking on freaking Trump and all sorts of stuff. I don't have areas I don't go. I'll talk. And I don't care if it means I'm banned from a country. It's like, ain't ideal, but okay. If that country doesn't have positive human rights and it's suppression at its best, then why would I want to go there anyway? It's all those sort of things, Why would I want to if that's what it's like? I don't want to go there. So don't have to deny me entry. I'm not traveling anyway. So, and it's the same with sort of the transgender side of things. If I was in a workplace and someone was transgender, I wouldn't judge them for being transgender. I'd still talk to them as I would talk anybody else. Maybe by talking to them, I'd understand where they come from a bit more, why they do it, what their issues are, because I haven't really had that conversation with people, and I think that would help me. Not that I'm going around looking for it either, though, because I've got my own life to live. I'm not here to sort of like look at every side of communities, and identify situations and things. I'll help where I can. I'll talk about topics. But yeah, I'm not going out of my way to learn every little thing here. It's just if I was to happen across a situation and there's a learning experience, then great. We learn from each other. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't look down at anybody or cast aspersions. It'd be more of a case of if they're causing drama, then there's an issue. That's what it is. So if people can coexist, work alongside each other, then that's how it should be. But I think I don't think for the majority you're going to find the issue is the majority of people. It'd be the person who feels threatened all the time, even though they're not threatened. That's where the problem is. Like, why do we have to classify things? Why can't we just exist? Why can't people just exist? If you want to dress as the opposite sex, dress as the opposite sex. If you want to change your name, change your name. If you want to if you want to do whatever, do whatever. But just accept yourself for it. But don't expect the world to change for you, because that's where the issue is. Expecting everything else to sort of bend over backwards to try and accommodate. And it's like, we shouldn't need to accommodate. It's a bit like if you knew someone. I had a similar issue with someone I know. It was none of this identity crisis thing, however you want to call this. I'll probably piss people off with that phrase now. It is what it is sometimes, I can't. It's too sensitive. I can't deal with sensitive people. That's one of my issues. So if someone's that sensitive, I can't deal with them because it's just too much. I can't deal with someone crying every 2 minutes. It's like, oh, if you can't handle anything, then I'm way too abrasive for you. That's just how I am, though. I'm very direct, and I'd just rather get to the point. But this person changed their name, and it wasn't like a different gender. They just changed their name, and I'm like, I can't call you that because I'm not used to it. I'm used to calling you this. So I don't. You can change your name as many times as you want, and you can call yourself whatever you want. But I will always know you as this, and that wasn't even a gender change. So I'm just talking about from my own perspective here. Like, I couldn't do that. I wouldn't be able to. I would always treat you how I remember you. So if I knew someone and they were a guy, and now they're dressed up as a woman, or they've had an operation as a woman, whatever it is, I'm still going to remember them as a guy, and I'll still treat them like they're a guy. And that's just like, that's not me trying to be dismissive of anything. That's just how I know them. If I can't adapt to the name change of someone, I'm definitely not going to adapt to a gender change. I just see them as the person they are, and I know them as a man. So that's how I remember them. Again, people might not like that, but you can't force people to behave. That's what I'm trying to get into people's heads. You can't force people. It doesn't matter how much. It's like a bully in a playground. A bully can try and beat someone and say, "Go, you will do as I say." Blah blah blah. In front of them, maybe they will. Maybe they're scared of reprisals. Behind their back, they're going to still say what they were saying before. So physically hurting someone over an argument or anything is so stupid because it doesn't change someone's mindset. Their mindset will always stay true to themselves. So what's the point? Sometimes you just got to accept that people are not always going to agree. You might want someone to think of you a certain way, and you may want them to accommodate you in that way. Doesn't mean they're going to. And you can't force them in the same way we can't force anyone to do anything. I can't knock at a neighbour's house and say, look, I need help with something in my house. Come and help me now. In what way of life can you order people about? You can't. So why make an exception here? Why should we accept? It's like you just got to accept that you've got to live your life. Everybody has to live their life. And really, most people are not even involved in other people's lives. So most people don't even care. Most people just focus on their own lives. So it's just about accepting yourself for who you are, isn't it? Like I said, the only exception there, I guess, is if you don't feel comfortable going into a lavatory, a bathroom, a public toilet. Because I could see how that would be confusing. It'd be a bit difficult. But yeah, I'm not going to go in the whole process of that. And I know I've probably come across an absolute arse in this because I get fired up. And my opinions are going to be completely divisive, and it is what it is. But I don't shy away from topics. I won't. So even if something's taboo or it's like that's going to be an issue, well, I'll take that. I'll take the challenge. Doesn't mean I'll do great with that challenge, because this is one of those where if you asked in general, what's the most complicated topic you could talk about that would cause chaos out of anything in the world? You could talk religions, you could talk different races, anything and everything. This gender situation with transgender and all this, the things that go around that is the hardest topic of all. That is the hardest topic of all, because no one has the answers. Literally, no side has an answer to solve this riddle. And that's the truth, isn't it? Because if there was an answer, it would have been solved by now. So me personally, the way I see it is people just need to accept themselves for who they are. And I think people just need to accommodate to a point, but just accept, But it's not about like adapting our lives to it, though. It's like people just need to get on with living. Get on with whatever, but just be honest. Be honest to yourself, and then be transparent with other people. That's what it is. You know, if you're looking to date someone, it's like you should be transparent anyway about life in general. You know, if someone's a devout religious person and their whole mindset is they have to be with someone of the same religion, they're not going to accommodate no matter how much you might want them to. You might think, yeah, but I love you. And they might go, yeah, but you don't have the same religion and it can't work because their religion is their everything. And that happens to some people, you know? And it's like, you're going to have to accept that. You can't just manipulate someone to just give in to their, whatever their faith is and things, if that means that much to them. You know, people have the free choice too. So don't try to manipulate to get what you want because there'll only be a downfall in the end anyway. People will find out the truth eventually. So why not just get on telling you the truth already? The same way I am. I'm just point blank open book. You know, I can't be bothered to deceive anyone. I haven't got the time and energy to play nonsense games. You know, I'd rather have a select few people in my life and that's it. I'm not looking for a whole group of people to understand me and like me. You know, it's like you get what you get. And I'm too abrasive for most people. And I see through people too much. So people very rarely can they lie and deceive me. That's just different facets to my personality, really. But yeah, I'm more of a mirror to people, and they don't like seeing themselves in the mirror because people like to hide. They like to pretend, like to deceive. I prefer just to put everything out in the open. I don't see the point of playing games. But anyway, yeah, I just think, you know, everybody needs to share their opinion on hot topics like this because otherwise society will be manipulated and altered to accommodate a minority when others have an opinion too. And every opinion is valid. May not be accurate. Your opinion, like for instance, my opinion on such topics, it may be wrong in some degree. It may be, I may misunderstand some things, but it doesn't invalidate that it's my opinion though. It just means take it with a pinch of salt because this is just my opinion. We might find by me talking, 10 other people talk, and then another 10 people talk, and all of a sudden a lot of people talking might find common ground. Like, wait a minute, this is what the majority of us are thinking. So percentages start to come in play. Now all of a sudden it's like, instead of people feeling like I can't say anything and, you know, this is misunderstood or it's like all of a sudden we're finding that the majority of people feel this way. And it's like, okay, now we're finding that. And that's the way that is. So, um, yeah, I think some topics are just too tough because sensitivities really do play a part.